Okay, alam mo wala pa pwede natin mapulot dito.
Well, a couple of things, no, Ian, that stood out to me. Una, doon sa response ng Rated K team, no? May pag-amin on their part na sponsor yung interview or that interviews or content like that was actually paid. Pero sabi nila, hindi naman daw sa value ng 10M, no? Tsaka may pag-amin on their part na may research briefing failure. Kasi gusto nilang i-point out, diba? Doon sa initial statement nila na linabas nila, na binawi nila kind of, na hindi naman daw alam ni host na tatakbo daw pala for the mayoralty etong si Sara Diskaya. But in the same statement, nag-i-invoke sila na this is a seasoned broadcaster, she's credible, at umabot naman siya sa parang sa editorial standards ng kanilang team. Pero sa palagay ko, Ian, may contradiction doon, no? Kasi kung inamin mo na it's paid content, then inherently, um, exempt siya from editorial standards, di ba? 'Di ba? I mean, gets mo naman yung contradiction, 'di ba? It's basically shooting yourself in the foot, no? You can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Um, at palagay ko, parang may pag-amin on this part, on their end, na yung mga ganitong content ay isang form ng covert advertising. Ito yung phrase na ginamit ko sa online, di ba? Yung covert advertising, palagay ko, that's been a plague in our industry in journalism for years. At naging norm siya with the social media content creation pipeline, no? Ano yung covert advertising? Basically, advertising siya na hindi mong dinidisclose sa audience na paid yung content na to or sponsored yung content na to. At hindi yun benign. Lalo na kung ang puhunan mo, tulad ng sinabi ni Mayor Vico, ay yung credibility mo or yung news brand mo bilang journalist. So, it's really, parang ano siya, dismaya siya for people who follow or know you as a journalist and who entrust na may certain degree ka ng editorial standards uh, when you release content.
Yung sinasabi nila na the intention merely was to inspire people with this rags to riches story. Okay? Again, I'm asking the obvious. Ang sagot naman dito obvious na. Pero para at least nakaliwanagan itong mga nanonood natin, yung mga hindi masyadong familiar in how journalism works. No? Ano ba yung tinatawag na rags to riches story? And why do journalists come up with such stories?
So, palagay ko, among the Filipino audiences, patok na patok yung rags to riches story. Kasi it offers people hope at isang dream ng upward mobility sa hirap ng buhay natin bilang mga Pinoy. Ano? So may isang take na nabasa ko about it from I think Jerry Canindin. I forgot his last name. Pero he talked about that sa Facebook na um, basically may economic dream ang mga Pinoys. Kaya patok na patok ng mga rags to riches story. Pero nagkakaroon ng conflict of interest, particularly because hindi mo alam exactly kung honest ba ang path to wealth nitong mga taong na-feature natin dito. So totoo naman na may mga inspiring stories. Say for example of small to medium scale businesses, mga ganon. Pero maraming red flags that were brought up in the interview and also in the ostentatious display of wealth, yung mga luxury cars. No, hindi naman yun manggagaling out of nowhere. And sinabi naman din in the interview with Julius Babao, for example, na yumaman sila first to the DPWH contracts. So parang doon pa lang red flag na, di ba? And then second, also with Corina, the fact na she showed up tapos on the day of the interview, doon lang niyang nalaman na tatakbo pala si Sarah Diskaya. Second, major red flag, di ba? So parang kung nandun tayo sa framing na, oh, let's have a rags to riches story, ganyan, kasi inspiring siya sa mga Pinoy. Parang i-evaluate naman natin ang mga interview subjects natin, kung meron ba silang, possible hidden agenda. At kung talagang hindi controversial at hindi contradictory to public interest itong path to wealth nila.
I totally agree, no? Kasi unang-una, if you're a journalist worth your salt, kahit pa paano naman sana meron preliminary interviews, no? Or hindi, kasi hindi preliminary interview, preliminary research about your subject. Siguro pwede nating patawarin kung bagitong periodista yung nagkamali dyan. Pero kung ang pakilala sa'yo, premyado at batikang journalist, tapos yung ganyan napaka-basic mistake, rookie mistake magagawa mo, anong tawag sa'yo? Ayoko sabihin tanga, no? Ayoko naman sabihin tanga. Okay. Hindi ko sinasabing tanga o mababaw. Like to make that clear, hindi ko po sinasabi. Okay. Doon naman sa can such excuse be made that the format of the interview was lifestyle and not investigative? That's why even if such admission was made or certain red flags were raised, hindi mo siya didiinan. For example, diba, paano ba naging gateway nyo dito sa inyong pagyaman? Sabi, nung nag-DPWH ka. And of course, yung context niya, pag pinanood natin yung mga balita ngayon, di ba? So, malaking contractor pala ito. Okay. Again, the question is that an excuse yung lifestyle format of an interview?
Very good question. Iyan, nagsimula din ako with lifestyle it was my very first internship before nung college student pa ako, and nag-start din ako bilang isang features writer sa mga school's press conference. So very close to my heart yung lifestyle coverage about culture and about, human interest stories. Pero palagay ko, baka tayo as a media culture, medyo mababa yung tingin natin sa lifestyle coverage, which is wrong, no? Actually, there's a way to cover lifestyle na in-depth. That's my first point. Set that aside muna. Second, since na-mention natin na marami ng red flags at lumabas through the course of the interview and through the course of the research na may contracts pala with DPWH or may intention pala for electoral ambition yung interview subject. Parang doon pa lang, maybe you would not have covered it as an investigative, pero at the very least, dapat pinoz na yung lifestyle feature. Dapat hindi tumakbo yun. I would say, if I were siguro the lead producer of the subject, parang I would have briefed the host na feel ko makakaano to ng reputation mo kung tinakbo mo to at this particular point in time, so close to the election campaign period. Kasi any type of coverage, Ian, hindi mong maaalis na there's something in it possibly for the person that you're interviewing, especially if they are an aspiring politician or a politician or a businessman. So, kailangan may heightened awareness ka bilang journalist at bilang producer na posibleng magagamit yung show mo or yung content mo as a platform for them to forward their own personal political agenda. And yung lifestyle ay often nagiging clothing lang ito for something else. It looks benign, but it is actually not, no? May pinoint out si Noel Duterte on Facebook saying that yung comeback ng mga Marcos family, nagsimula din yan through lifestyle feature coverage. 'Di ba? Nagsimula siya doon sa Tatler cover ni Amy Marcos, 'di ba? Nagsimula siya with all their patronizing of films and whatever cultural events, ganyan. And it kind of streamlined them or reintroduced them back to the public eye in a soft way without talking about the corruption aspects or the corruption controversies, or where they're probably getting the money to be funding all of these cultural events, etc. So hindi siya completely, nawawala. At bilang isang lifestyle journalist, dapat aware ka rin sa political aspect para hindi mako-color yung lifestyle coverage mo. Yun yung aking
Yeah, totally agree, no? Kasi bisa ginagamit na parang excuse, actually, rationalization na may lifestyle yan. Parang iniinsulto naman natin yung mga lifestyle writers na lifestyle reporters. So, siyempre, di naman lahat ng mga nasa lifestyle malilinis. Kasi mo na lahat na nasa news, nasa political reporting, nasa business, sports, malilinis. Lagi may dumi sa isang industriya. Pero to make use of lifestyle is an excuse not to do your job as a journalist. That is pretty insulting to fellow journalists who toil every day, diba? To actually abide by the rules, by the values of the profession. Tsaka syempre, insulto rin sa mga viewers at saka sa audience.